Walking into a new or under-resourced music room can feel daunting. With a teeny tiny budget and a huge wish list, how do you even begin to fill your classroom with all of the resources your students need? Today, I'm talking with Jessica Palmer from West Music to bring you a real actionable plan to tackle this challenge head on.
It's the Happy Music Teacher!
Are you an elementary music teacher who's frustrated and overwhelmed? I'm Jeanette a happy music teacher who loves teaching every day, but it wasn't long ago I was in your shoes. Join me Wednesdays to help you find happy in your music classroom. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Jessica Palmer to the podcast. And you just heard a little bit about Jessica's background, and I am just absolutely excited to just have her talk about everything that West Music has to offer, because you may not know there are some new resources out there that West is offering that you may not know about. So Jessica, hi, and welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
It's good to have you. So maybe just start out by telling everyone a little bit about your background, because I know, you at least were a music teacher. I'm assuming you're not teaching music anymore, but tell a little bit about your background.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes your path to where you are going is not always straightforward. It winds around. So
true.
I went to school to be a band director, funnily enough. That was my big life goal. And throughout my studies, I really fell in love with general music. I really felt so connected with teaching younger students and exploring all that general music has to offer. And so I spent some time teaching at both at schools as well as through nonprofit organizations like children's museums, by offering camps and things like that. But I did teach for several years at a very small private school where I was the only music teacher. I knew every single student's names because the building was so small,
Wow.
and really felt so connected to those students. And then the opportunity to work with West as an educational consultant came about. And I really got to take that passion of teaching to a new level by helping other teachers find curriculum and materials to do their teaching with. And so I spent some time in sales, and now I'm really excited to be transitioning into a content role to continue developing resources and partnering with all the fantastic teachers out there to really share our knowledge. It's such a community that we have of music teachers that's very unique, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I have spent a lot of school dollars at West Music as well as my own dollars. And one of the reasons that I choose West over other companies is because the personal touch that you guys, like Judy Pine and I, have developed a relationship over many years, because, she's always so helpful. And, I think that's one thing that maybe one of the reasons that I really wanted to have you on the podcast is because I think that people don't understand the personal relationship that you have with your teachers and the helpful spirit. Judy would, like, anytime I'd email her and be like, oh, I want to order this package of instruments. What can you do for me price wise? And what do you recommend? And, so I think, it's beyond you go on the website and you order your instruments. And that's what I really want people to understand, is that West Music is that company that is going to, go above and beyond with customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are invested. The tagline is play now, play for life. And we really do mean that. Our in-house classes at our regional stores start at 6 months old for mommy and me classes. We support musicians and teachers through their journey through school and beyond, with hobbyists who are picking up an instrument later in life. We mean what we say when we say play now, play for life. And to your point, a lot of our consulting staff, a lot of our sales team are former teachers who have spent time in the classroom, who understand the unique challenges that music teachers are facing. And we are cheering you on and want to see music teachers succeed. And if that means helping to stretch your budget a little further, or helping decide what to do with your grant funding, or coming up with creative solutions, even if you only have $100 to spend, we want to see you succeed, and we want to hear how it works out for you, and talk to you again next year and support teachers through their journey.
Which again is exactly why I was like, I need to reach out, because I was on the Facebook groups. Every time I go on there, especially this time of the year, I'll see teachers, brand new teachers, but also teachers who maybe have been teaching a while and they're getting ready to supply a new classroom, and they're like, I don't know what I need. So, that was one of the reasons that I wanted to have this conversation, and I immediately thought of you guys. So, Jessica, would you tell us just a little bit about how West Music got started? Because I think people will be surprised to know some of the background.
Yeah, whether you've interacted with us on our website or seen us at a convention, what you may not know is West Music is called West Music because it is a family-owned music store by the family. Started as a little just mom and pop shop in the middle of Iowa, selling band and orchestra and pianos to local kids and local musicians. And as we have grown and looked for new opportunities, and this is really credit to our friend Judy Pine, who saw the opportunity to partner with ORF workshops and Kodai workshops that were happening across the country, and said, well, what if we showed up to these workshops and you can borrow some of our instruments to use during the workshop, and we'll just set up a little shop there as well. And this has grown to the national status or whatever that we have now, of being able to continue to supply these workshops, but also travel to music ed conferences and to national conventions like AOSA and OAK, and music drumming programs. It has really just grown so much and so quickly. But at the heart of it, West Music is still owned by the West family. We're in the third generation now, with Ryan West at the helm. And in a lot of ways, it still feels like a small family business, even though we are helping teachers across the country.
Wow, that is an amazing story. And I had no idea. I had no idea.
It's been a wild journey. I've only been here for a fraction of it, but it really does feel like a family business, even on this large scale.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, of course.
So tell us a little bit about what are the unique challenges that you see music teachers facing right now, and how can West help with those struggles?
I think the teaching environment has changed so much in the past 5 years. And things that used to work 10 years ago may not work the same or at all anymore, as far as classroom management. And being able to, I think the other unique challenge that music teachers face is having to always justify what they're teaching and why they're teaching it in order to get funding in a way that not all teachers have to do. And music teachers have to not only be excellent teachers, but also be advocates for what they're doing and what they're teaching. And I think this is a way that West Music puts their money where their mouth is and participates in that advocacy, both on a nationwide level and in partnering with you. we're happy to talk to your administrators and tell them, yeah, this is what your music teacher needs, and this is why you should spend your money in this way, because we've done the research and we have, the supporting documentation to say, yes, music is important, and this is why we need to be funding it. I'm always so frustrated by how music teachers have to justify these things. I think that's one of the biggest struggles, and it's not a new struggle, but it seems to be a continuing struggle in some of these new teaching environments.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And what you said about the environment changing and,
Yeah.
I mean, kids are used to, they have their phone in their hand, they get instant access to everything, and they think they know everything because they have instant access. And then there's the whole, they're finding that devices are contributing to anxiety and depression and ADHD. And I find, even for myself, if I spend the entire day on the computer doing, this, my brain is tired. And I know how to control myself because I'm an adult. So I can't imagine, like, a child trying to keep up with everything that's going on online. So, it's changed dramatically. And I would bet it's changed more in the last 15 to 20 years than ever before. And then you add the pandemic in, and we've got a whole new generation of people. So definitely.
We do. And I think especially with older students, there's more awareness of their peers and being observed and seen. And we lose a little bit of that whimsy and fun and being silly and being willing to be vulnerable in front of each other because, they're so worried about being seen a certain way. And that can be a really big struggle too in the music class. I remember my sixth graders nobody wanted to sing, and they were really they just wanted to play instruments. They didn't want to sing, and having the conversation. Well, why is that? Why is that such a personal thing that you're not willing to share? So again, the struggles that technology, as wonderful as technology has been to helping us move forward, it's a balance. We have to be really aware of that in every classroom, especially a music classroom.
Right. And being in the music classroom, you have to kind of sneak in there and find ways to get them out of their shells so that, because, I can't tell you how often I had a first grader a couple years ago be like, Mrs. M, I'm not a music guy. And I was like, okay, you're 6. How do you know you're not?
How do you know that?
No? So you mentioned in your bio that you taught at a very tiny school. Yeah. And what kind of struggles? Because I feel like most of my audience, whether we teach at a tiny school or a large school, one of the things we really struggle with is not having outside help, What were some of the challenges that you faced, and how did that impact you in what you're doing today?
Yeah, I think you said it right there, is not having people to bounce ideas off of or to talk to and say, hey, I'm trying to work on this concept with my kids and they're just not quite grasping it. What else could I try? Mm-hmm. What has been successful for you? Or even just finding new ideas. I was fortunate enough to have a set of game plan books, and that was great. What a wonderful resource for me to have walking into that classroom. But it could only take me so far. And I felt a lot of times I was grasping for straws. I was, frantically Googling ideas of what to do next and being just a little bit ahead of my students. I found the long-term planning to be really a challenge for me, to be able to create that big scope year and put all the little pieces together. And then classroom management. I had really supportive classroom teachers that would back me up with issues, but there are unique classroom challenges to the music room that they just didn't quite understand. And so it felt really lonely. I spent a lot of time staying late and trying to lesson plan and put things together and create new ideas. And my work-life balance went right out the window during those times. And I wasn't giving myself much time to rest or recover. And I hadn't yet discovered the Facebook groups and some of the online community at that point. So when I, moved into this role at West Music, I knew I wanted to do something for those teachers. I wanted to not have anyone feel like I did ever again, which, brought us to creating our sister site, Music Constructed, which is a place for teachers to share lesson plans, to share lesson ideas, to write articles on classroom management or other teaching techniques. We've expanded into professional development, and these are all materials that are created by teachers that we pay them to create, and they live on our site. And man, if I had had a resource like that when I was struggling in teaching, to be able to have these vetted lesson plans and vetted lesson ideas that we knew work because somebody had tried them out in their classroom and then wrote them down and shared them with us.
Right.
I think my experience would have been really different. I think I still would have had the same struggles that everyone else had, but I wouldn't have felt so. That community piece is what I really was missing.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head there. And I would say the same. I actually came into teaching from a completely different arena. I was an online video editor, and I was working like 70 hours a week. And my husband at the time was working a lot of hours as well. And I had always wanted to be a music teacher, and my parents talked me out of it. That's a whole other story. But so I ended up getting a job in Florida at the time. I went in on like a different certification, and they were able to put me into the music room. But I went in like trial by fire because I did not have a teaching, any sort of observation of anybody's classroom. I hadn't done a student teaching experience, nothing. And I was still taking my classes. So it was very lonely and very overwhelming and scary, and I think even if you do have the background, college can only do so much. You really have to be in there in the trenches. Those first 3 years, I think no matter how much background you have, are where you really learn how to be a teacher, the first 3 to 5 years. And I didn't want people either to go through what I went through. So that's why I started the Happy Music Teacher Academy. And, in there, that's one of my main goals, my main focuses is for us to have community. And, and that's one of the reasons that I try to have people on the podcast who I think are going to be able to help, because being a music teacher, no matter what anybody says, the rest of the school thinks we're in there singing and dancing and having a good time. And we are. But on the other hand, we are also educators, and we have the same struggles plus different ones that other educators have. So I was really excited. I learned about Music Constructed, right? With the E. Yes. I think it was 6-8 months ago, Erin Elliott was telling me about it, and I was so excited about that, because what a wonderful resource for music teachers to have. And, you're doing all the hard work of putting it together, and then, music teachers can just go in. So tell us a little bit more about this, because I will bet you there's a lot of teachers out there who don't even know that's a possibility yet.
Yeah, it has been such a growing experience. Let's see, we launched Music Constructed right about this time in 2020, knowing that there was a need for community going into that 2020 school year, when everybody was suddenly teaching on Zoom and not sure how to adapt their lesson plans. We had the ability to build the infrastructure and allow teachers to share their lesson plans and know that what they were finding on that site was vetted. There are lots of places to find free lesson plans out there. I've found some great things on Teachers Pay Teachers. I'm not going to knock anybody. But it's kind of a mixed bag of the quality or of the work that has been put into creating those. And you don't always know what you're going to get when you're buying that. So this really came from a desire to say, we want to not only offer these free and low cost lesson ideas, but we want to make sure they're really, really good. And so that project started reaching out to all of our teacher friends that we had met through selling instruments and at conventions and saying, hey, we're trying to put this together. If you've got a lesson idea or an article or something that you have put together that you think is really great, let's take a look and see if we can pay you for it. And as that has grown, it's gone from the free lessons to offering these kind of larger unit almost base where you download the whole unit with all of the PowerPoints and everything you need to teach. And now more recently, being able to offer specialized music professional development to teachers has kind of been our next step. I don't know how many PD days I've sat through where half the information is relevant to me and the other half is not. And so we wanted to create more opportunities to learn from music teachers. And we have over 100 on-demand professional development classes now available on a variety of topics, from teaching recorder to classroom management to advocacy, to some of the orphan codi methodologies. And it's been really wonderful to not only be able to offer these things to music teachers out there, but to connect with music teachers who have things to share, who have really good ideas. And in some cases, these have been music teachers that we've invited to present for West Music at conventions or at workshops. And that has been awesome too, to be able to continue growing those teachers' professional journeys as well.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I mean, and it's funny. I mean, you've been doing this since 2020, and I'm just finding out about it.
I know it's been hard to get the word out.
Yeah, I'm really glad that hopefully I'll be able to help you get the word out a little bit more. So, when we talked before about budgetary constraints, and what can West Music do to help teachers who have a teeny tiny little budget and they don't really, they don't know what to buy with it, and they don't know, how to best use it?
Yeah, that is where I get to brag about our consulting team, because they are phenomenal. These are people that have spent time in the classrooms and have helped hundreds of teachers make the most of their budget. So, we always have great deals and different bundles and things available on the website. But what will really make a difference for you is to either give us a call or shoot us an email and give us your wish list and tell us what your budget constraints are. As a sales team, we often have access to different kinds of pricing opportunities and deals based on what you're looking at. We can often make suggestions about what brands to go with that might be able to save you some money. We do have, West Music brand items that are awesome and are really quite affordable for a classroom teacher. We can also help you prioritize. We've done classroom inventories for people where we say, let's make a list of everything you have and let's figure out what's missing and go from there. We can help with, if you're applying for a grant, being able to create a quote for you to be able to take you to your administration. That quote is a powerful tool because it's going to not only lock in the pricing for you. So if there's any price changes, it'll freeze that pricing for you. But it's something that you can take to your administrators and say, all right, here's what I need. Here's the best pricing available from West Music. Let's get that PO cut. So if you've got money to spend and you're just not sure how to do it, we would love to help you. We are really passionate about stretching your budget as far as it can go and getting you everything you teachers need to just do what they do best, which is be in the classroom and teach.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice you would give to either a brand new teacher starting out in a classroom that maybe doesn't have enough resources, or to a teacher that's starting out at a new school where maybe they're just starting the program, or maybe they are, maybe they have a minimal instruments and they're trying to build?
Yeah. We'll bring it back to the top here is find that community, find the Facebook groups or the podcasts to listen to. I hear this is a really great one. And learn from your peers that have been doing it longer than you, or better yet, who are in the same place as you, so you can talk to each other, commiserate with each other. The other thing I'm going to say is it's okay to keep it simple to start. If you don't have a budget and you have very little to work with, body percussion and singing is a great place to start. It's fun to have all the tools, but at the core of it, music can be made with just yourself. And then if you do have some budget to spend, please give us a call. West Music would love to help you figure out what you have, what you need, and start building that long-term multi-year budget with you to figure out what you can get when and prioritize. So yeah, I think my biggest advice is find your community, whether that's online, whether that's talking to other teachers in your district. Those are going to be your biggest supporters in the long run.
Yeah, I agree. Very great advice. So I know that you have something special just for my listeners. Do you want to tell them about it?
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about these downloadable lesson plans. We have very recently, within the past couple weeks, been able to make these available on our main West Music site. So now you can buy these directly instead of having to go to a separate site, which is awesome. But as a special back to school gift for you, we would like to offer you a 15% off deal on all of these downloadable lesson plans. Nice. The promo code is going to be HappyMT25. We'll make sure we get all those notes, that information in your notes here. And this is going to last all the way through the back to school season through October 1st. So
nice.
There are great back to school type lessons. There's some good like posters and flashcards and downloadable things. You could stock up so you've just got some on hand throughout the year. There's some seasonal ones. There's some really great Halloween ones on there that I love. Awesome. But we want to get you off on the right foot and get you some brand new lessons and inspiration and tools to help you get started.
Love it. Thank you so much. That's so lovely of you. Is there anything, Jessica, that we didn't talk about that you really wanted to highlight?
I think we got everything I really wanted to talk about. Again, I would just encourage you. We're here to help. We would love to help you plan. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone or to send us an email so we can help support you in your classroom.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on. It was so great to talk to you and get to know you a little. And I'm really excited to get the message out to maybe some music teachers who don't know all the wonderful resources you have.
That would be awesome. And hey, if you're a music teacher that's got some great ideas and would like to share your work, we'd love to hear from you too.
I love that too. A little extra money is always good.
Hey, especially, in some cases it's West Music gift cards. So let's keep supplying and getting new things for your classroom.
Nice. I love that. That. Well, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com.
Well, that's all I have for you today. But before I go, I want to remind you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep being fabulous you.